All right, what's up, everyone? Trevor here, and today we are going to jump in and let's talk about something I see all too common. It's been a problem, and I don't think it is the right way to train and eat and just overall performance, especially for athletes. And it's that whole factory feel. It's um, that assembly line. And think of it, I kind of realized and tell a start a little story here. I bought a new car back in 2018, I believe. Yeah, it's a 2018 Chevy Malibu. So if you know what those look like, it's a pretty basic car. Um, but once you buy it, and that whole process of looking at a car and buying a car, and you go around, you go to the Chevy, you go to Ford, you go to Toyota and Honda and Hyundai and whatever other car brand, and you realize all the cars look the same. Whether it's a Chevy, whether it's a Ford, whether it's a Toyota, uh, that same basic structure, that model, that size, whatever. I don't know if mine's considered a mid-size sedan or whatever. I don't even know the whole car terms, but that selection of cars, they basically are the same. They look similar. The body styles, the frame, the curves in it look the same. Same with trucks. Same with whatever vehicle it is nowadays. They all seem the same. When back in the day, like a Chevy looked different than a Ford, or a Corvette looked different than a Mustang, and all this different stuff. Where all these cars had different styles and different curves and body frames and stuff like that. They all look different. They're all more unique. Yes, and Henry Ford made the assembly line to make everything, or started popularizing the assembly line. I believe he's the main one, to make everything more efficient. But that comes to a halt when it comes to training, especially individuals, human beings. I see it too often with especially these sports performance centers. I worked at one that's where I interned, and I quickly realized that is not how I want to train people. That's not how people are meant to train. You're not a plug and play. You're not meant to be put into a progression, and you have to follow this progression until you're till you reach your goals. It's not a one size fits all. Training performance is unique to the individual. Yes, there's going to be a lot of similarities, a lot of the movement patterns, that type of thing, doing the same things. If you want to be a good athlete, you got to be fast, you got to be strong, you want to be powerful, you want to be able to jump high. Yes, that stuff is common, but how we get there, that is different. You are different than me, I am different than you. We're different than the person down the street, that other person over there. We're not the same. Yes, there's a lot of stuff that can work, but when you look at all these sports performance centers and they just plug and play, and even group classes with adults, you just plug and play these people who aren't meant for this stuff that you're doing. And a lot of it's just boring, repetitive, same old, the basic stuff that focus on mainly the barbell lifts. And sport has nothing to do with barbell lifts. Yes, they can help. Squats can make your legs stronger, help you build some muscle in the legs, lower body, that type of stuff. Same with hinges, same with deadlifts and bench press and stuff like that. But that's not the reason why we do it. And just plugging and playing, it's a factory, and it's kind of that whole McDonald's thing. McDonald's is another example. It's everything is the same. You go to McDonald's here in America or in Wisconsin or Minnesota, you get the same stuff that's in you go to Chicago or New York or LA, or you go overseas, and it's the same stuff, same food. I mean, it's all garbage, but it's the same stuff. They made it so it's efficient, it's good for growth and business. But that's not the same for training. Yes, it's okay to have templates and stuff like that, but each person is different. Each individual, each athlete is different. Whether you're a beginner, just starting out, you don't need to be plugged into some program that just, you have to do this goblet squat. Then you have to do a front squat, then you have to do a back squat, then you have to do whatever. That progression, no. Yes, there are progressions and regressions, but having a structured, strict model that you have to follow, that's a bunch of crap. Someone might come in and they might be able to do a back squat right away, or they might be able to do some sort of different exercise, a sprint or a jump variation right away. Everyone comes in at a different point, everyone's at a different point, and everyone progresses and advances at a different point. So having that strict structure, that cookie cutter factory assembly line is not going to work for getting the best results. Can it work for helping? Yes. And is it better than not anything? Or is it better than not having anything? Better than nothing? Yeah, probably, because it's getting people to train, and that's great. Getting kids interested in training, but a lot of times it's also de-interested, getting kids uninterested because it's boring. It's just a group of 30, 40, 50 kids, and they're moving like robots, and humans are not robots. We should be moving like human beings so we can train like athletes and flow and have fluidity and balance and coordination, rather than doing all these stupid drills, learning to do an A skip or a B skip or this dumb progression that can it work? Yes, it can work. There's plenty of, but it's so boring. It's so mundane. And again, it's not getting people to move like they're supposed to. It's all this coordinated drill work. Oh yeah, run to a cone and stop at a cone and do the same thing, and then another one, and then another one. And it's not training. That's not what training should be. Training should be more unorganized, free play, especially for youth athletes. I see it too often. A lot of kids that I work with, and our school here is now so bought into all this. The program they work with is I've talked to parents, and they've forced the kids to train in this way, this assembly line, this robot training, where the kids aren't actually coached. They're not. There's a coach there, but I've worked for this place, so I know what it's like. But the coaches don't actually coach. They don't have as much knowledge as someone who puts in the time and works directly with the kids in smaller groups and things like that, and invests in the kids. It's just they write something on the board and it's given to them from above, and all the kids are just plugged into that program. And can it work? Yes. Is it better than nothing? Yes. But is it what the kids deserve? No, it's not at all. And there's better out there, and that's what I try to strive to be with tag, is better, and getting out of that robotic mindset of you have to do this, that, and this, and that, and this, and that before you do this, that, and this. It's again, we want you to move. We want you to have fun. And whether it's a sports performance or like a club team, club baseball is big and becoming so big, and that's what I'm around because I'm more of a baseball player. But I know AAU basketball and stuff like that. They have all these facilities, and theirs are more focused on the position first or the sport first, and that's down the line. You got to focus on the human first, the athlete second, then the sport, and then the position. That's what we focus on, is building human movers who are good to great general athletes, and then they can become better at their sport, at their position. And it's not just here's a sheet, go do this sheet, and once you're done with that for your 4 weeks up, you move on to the next one. Because that's how it is at the place I interned at, and how it was. They promoted that they were individualized training. It was nothing anywhere near individualized training. It was, again, just like I said, the kids come in, the beginner, if they're starting out, they get this same sheet. You do that for 4 weeks, then you get the next sheet. It's not individualized, it's not thought through, it's not thought out. It's just here, everyone fits into this cookie cutter, and you do this cookie cutter for your given amount of time, then you do the next one. And what happens when these kids don't show up? What happens? That's the problem with whole periodized planning in advance. Anyway, you have this. I have this well thought out year-long plan, but the kid gets sick, or your adult client misses some time. They go on vacation. It's not going to work. That's why here at TAG we focus more on smaller, week to week more so. Yes, we have a bigger plan, whether this person wants to get faster, get stronger, lose weight, whatever it is. But then we work backwards for that and just build it in week by week, because yes, life happens. Life gets away, especially for adults and even kids who don't they're not consistent. They're not showing up all the time. You can't always do that. And it's good to have a plan, but again, be able to adjust that plan and not be set in stone like you have to do this. You have to do this amount of weight. You have to do this percentage. You have to do this exact lift. And that whole factory mindset, that assembly line mindset is just so overrated. And I think it's becoming a huge problem where these places are just popping up because they're like McDonald's. They got everything, the business side down to a science, but they're not actually helping making the athletes or their clients the best they can be. They're building them all the same. And then you watch them in sports, every kid moves exactly the same. I even talked to a buddy who's a fourth grade basketball coach for his daughter's team, and now the high school coaches are telling the youth coaches to run the same stuff that the high school coaches run. When these fourth grade girls can't even dribble or shoot or know how to play defense for the most part. Some of them do, some of them are more advanced. But that is so dumb. These kids are young. Let them be free. Let them learn, grow, explore. Stop trying to plug them into a system, especially if it's like zone defense and all this garbage that let them learn to play and cover and defend and be an athlete. That's how you learn. That's how you grow from the games, from the practices. And stop trying to be a factory. Be a factory in the sense of, yes, you're producing great results. You're encouraging, you're developing, you're teaching the kids to fail, teaching them how to win, teaching them how to build confidence and listen to their body and feel their body. I was just working with some of the kids I work with the other day. We've been working on deadlifting and getting them good hinging form and stuff like that. And they're finally starting to feel what it feels like to have good form and feel the muscles that are supposed to be being worked and feel what it feels like to be to know what's working and what's not. And that's really what I want. It's not always just in your face yelling at kids, telling them, giving them cues all the time. A lot of times the best coaches just sit in silence and observe and then teach and show, because every kid's going to learn different. Some might be, oh, here's a piece of paper, go do it. Some might be, oh, I need to see that a couple times to do it. Some might be feel it out, hands-on type stuff. It's all different, and it's we're not all the same. We're not cars. We're not machines. We're not robots. We are human beings. We all move different. We all have different ways of learning. We all operate different, think different, and that's what it's really about. It's not about building a factory, an assembly line that everyone comes out the exact same. Because if that were the case, there would be no good athletes. It'd be like when you see like the armies and stuff, and not even our armies anymore, but like even those what are those guard guys over in England, the guys with big furry hats and red jackets who walk around stiff and stuff like that. It's like everyone moves the same. We don't want that. We want you to move. Think of all the great athletes that move different. The Barry Sanders, the Allen Iversons, the Jordans, Bo Jackson. All these guys are fluid and they're not the same. They're all built a little different. They all have some different techniques and traits and skills. And they're all moving different. They don't move the same. They don't run the same. They don't jump exactly the same. And when you try to plug and push all these kids into doing that, it's not a recipe for success for them. Yes, it might be great for your business model, but we don't want to build robots. At least I don't want to build robots. And I know most good coaches don't want to build the robots. And you're not a robot. You're not a car. Adapt, learn, listen to your body, and focus on moving like a human, not a robot. We don't want to be stiff doing the robot dance all the time. That's not going to make you a good human mover, a good athlete. It's going to make you stiff, sore, beat down. It's going to get boring. These places, they don't use games. They don't play. Because that's ultimately the best way to become an athletic is play, yes, practice. And a lot of people will say, a lot of the sports coaches will say, I'll leave that to practice. But then you go and look at the practice, and their practices just suck. It's the same crap. It's just drills after drills after drills. There's no game-like situations. There's no learning. If it's baseball, they're just hitting off a tee or taking BP at a guy throwing 40 miles an hour right down the center, and that's not helping anyone. Yeah, maybe you're getting some extra reps in, but are they good quality reps? You're not facing a pitcher who's gonna not. Pitcher's not going to give you a pitch down the middle every time when you're facing it. If he is, he's not going to be pitching very long. He's going to be pulled out of the game. Challenge, be different, use constraint-based coaching, and see too often whether it is sport coaches, whether it is training. Humans are not robots. We're not all built the same. We're not all physically, mentally built the same. Emotionally, we're all different. We want to build the best humans first so they can be athletes next, and then they can be their sport and then their position. Or if it's an adult, build best humans so they could be the best parent or the best worker or the best sibling, whatever it is, whatever their goals are. And even adults are athletes too. My adults are athletes. We train them like humans so they can move like humans, so they can train like athletes and do the stuff that they should be doing their entire lives: jumping, sprinting, hopping, crawling, rolling, skipping, all that stuff. And that's stuff you don't see in a lot of these training facilities. There's no actual sprinting. Yeah, they call it speed training, but it's just a bunch of running back and forth, no rest, just tiring them out to get them sore and making them think that getting them tired is going to help speed, but that's not. It's overabundance of drills, like I mentioned. It's they don't crawl, they don't hang, they don't climb. It's all barbell lifts and dumbbell lifts, and yeah, that stuff's important. We do a lot of that stuff, but that's just a small fraction of it. We do all these athletic movements in games. That's the biggest part. Free play in games and not telling the kids that they have to do something, not giving them the direct instructions, giving them maybe some constraints or rules and letting them work within the rules. Like the other day, I had the kids just doing some simple tossing baseballs, 3 of them in a little triangle, tossing baseballs back and forth. The only constraint I said was you can't have more than one ball in your hand, more than one ball in your hand at a time. So they would come up with, and they had to learn to communicate. They had to learn to get in a rhythm and focus on hand-eye coordination. And it could be different. You could play a game of tag but have boundaries, or capture or other things where you handball and you can only throw with your left hand, and just different stuff like this to get them using different body parts, move and be problem solvers. That's a big thing. Is a lot of these training facilities aren't helping people become problem solvers. They give them the solution. They give them the answer. When what happens when that coach isn't there and they're in a game and they freeze? That's the problem. Or you're an adult and you are on your own. You don't have access to your coach, and you're on a vacation and you want to lift, but the hotel gym doesn't have all the equipment you originally have. Do you just freeze, or do you solve the problem yourself? And that's what we do. We teach people to solve. We help people learn how to solve problems, teach them how to design a training program, and help their nutrition. And that's a whole nother thing is the nutrition. That's even more individualized probably than training. And everyone tries to plug them into the certain diet and fads and stuff, but that's a whole nother thing. But again, with training, all these training centers, all these facilities that are training kids, training adults to be robots. That is not what we do here. That's not what you should want to do. If you want to move like a robot, yeah, then go ahead. If you don't want to learn to actually solve problems yourself, because sports are all about solving problems. The players who are the best at solving problems, whether it's a movement problem, whether it's a strategical problem, they are going to be better. Or if it's an adult, again, like I said, on vacation, they're trying to solve a problem of what to do when they only got a certain amount of equipment, or they have no equipment, or they're rushed on time. We let them solve problems. Or even just moving in the real world. They got to bend weird way to pick up this box from the ground. We challenge them. We put their body in different movements through different training techniques, through different exercises with different variations in tools and equipment that is not just the basic, a squat, a hinge, a push, a pull, a lunge. There's more to it than that. There's so many different ways by putting our bodies into different positions, ranges of motion, loads, challenging holds, different stuff like that. But the main thing is that we're all different. We're not meant to be plugged into a factory, be a robot. I mean, AI is coming soon enough. It's already here. Robots will probably be taking over sooner rather than later. So we don't need that already. We're humans. Be a human. Move like a human. Act like a human. Think like a human. Problem solve like a human. That's what we're going to help you do here at TAG. If you are wanting to be different, we're here for you. We're here to give you a program that is individualized for you. Yes, we do have training, whereas if you want to train the same as my program, you can jump on that as well. But again, even that, it's not just the basic stuff. It's rolling, skipping, hopping, jumping, sprinting, all the different stuff that you can take and adapt to your life. And that's what it's all about, becoming the best version of yourself, because as I've said multiple times in here, you're not a robot. You are not a factory. You're not meant to be plugged and pushed in an assembly line that cookie cutter way. You are you. You are one of one. Even if you're a twin, you're one of one. Or a triplet or quadruplet or whatever, you're one of one. You are yourself. Whether it's training, whether it's nutrition, build it for yourself. Don't be put into that factory, that plug and play, that cookie cutter crap. It's not going to get you the best results. That's my whole take on that. That's my opinion. If you guys have any questions, reach out, drop them below, and we will talk to you again soon. Thanks, guys.